FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at a 10-game slate here on FanDuel, and it's nice because I mean there's not really a ton of high-priced pitching. Really, there isn't much anyway. I think Samardzija was your most expensive, so you got some leeway with bats here.
Yeah, this slate's much more intriguing for FanDuel because there's so many different ways to go with pitching that I think that's going to make for some feisty cash games tonight.
It definitely should. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes between, guys like Bauer, Schumacher, Samardzija, Wainwright, and they're all in that same price. It's just going to be, hey, let's see what that ownership could be and see who tanks. Because I highly doubt that four of them just make it out unscathed and get wins and have quality starts. Because, they're the most consistent options in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, we're taking a look at some top guys, but looking at hitters here, Mets and Phillies, Gerard Eichhoff versus Logan Verrey. I'm much more a fan of the Phillies as far as value contrarian plays than I am more on DraftKings because you got a Odubel Herrera at 3.2 with nice price tag. I like the Maikel Franco 2.9, Cameron Rupp 2.7 range. Much more for GPPs. I think there is some home run upside just because Verrey's been tagged relatively hard by right-handers.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely looking at these compared to the DK prices. Like, it's a complete difference. I mean, Tommy Joseph, 2,400, sure. Cody Ash, 32. I'm in on that. Maikel Franco, 29. Sure, I'm in on those prices. So, while they're not cash for me, Odubel Herrera might be cash for me at 3.2. But beyond that, I think you're looking at tournaments, but they do free up quite a bit, and I think there is some upside there.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a team that maybe I mix in with a couple other like high priced options and trying to get a little bit different. So, maybe you're looking at a Dodgers, stack or kind of hitting that trio that's going to be a little bit chalkier. Maybe you do mix in some Phillies with them to be a little bit more contrarian and kind of get a little bit different route there.
Right.
So as far as the Mets side of things go, I still don't mind the lefties here. Walker's price is a little more expensive, but definitely still don't mind it. I still don't mind the Cabrera, Jose Reyes, Granderson 4.4. I'm still not in love with, but I don't mind getting some of those lower end lefties against Eichhoff, who's been average against left-handed batters this season.
Yeah, definitely like that call, and I think Neil Walker once again is in cash. He's a little more expensive here than he is on DK, but I'm still firing away with him.
Yeah, and Pirates and Nationals, Tanner Roark, Garrett Cole, this next one. I'm not exactly thrilled with offenses on both these sites or on both these teams. Andrew McCutchen 3K is still interesting to me. Same with Marte at 3.2. I know Roark's not really a guy you like to pick on, but I don't know. I mean, Pirates would be relatively contrarian tonight. They're not going to be a popular option on a 10-game slate. So at those prices, I mean, I might not be afraid of firing up maybe a little bit of a Marte McCutchen duo in a lineup to try and get an edge somewhere.
Pick on in the sense of him as a pitcher, agreed. Pick on him in the sense of his last name, I totally disagree. There's a lot of versatility with that last name in terms of jokes and like petty insults for elementary school-ish.
For Roark?
Roark, pork, fork. Oh, yeah, you got a lot of options there, buddy.
Nope, I think you just named two, and that's about it.
Dork. Come on, buddy.
Okay, sorry. Clearly, you are going back to your childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for insults there. But, yeah, in terms of this slate, those aren't two guys I'm really looking at, even though they're not horrible matchups. I'm okay with Roark in a tournament, but as you mentioned, there's four guys I'm looking at over him.
So, I'm talking Pirates against him. You're not looking Pirates against him.
What?
I was talking about Pirates against him and using McCutchen and Marte.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty mediocre all around for me. For that,
if you're paying attention over there,
I am paying attention. I just started thinking about pork with an A in the middle. Like that's pretty funny.
National side of things. If Murphy's in the lineup, 3.4 is a solid price tag for him. I wouldn't definitely mind. I still don't see myself really taking a lot of offense from this game in general. Harper at 4.4, obviously contrarian, obviously a guy who is in play still. I'm not in love with really picking on Garrett Cole, who, is an above average righty.
Yes, Not really targeting him. Obviously, you like Harper, and Murphy if he's in the lineup, but beyond that, I mean, I think you can throw Ben Revere in there at 29, but I'm not really looking at anyone else.
Yeah, not really looking at a Ramos or a Worth here. The righty on righty matchup really isn't doing it to me. Same thing with Rendon.
Yeah, I think we just save up our mojo for the next few matchups down the line here.
Yeah, definitely. Brewers and Reds, John Lamb versus Jimmy Nelson. I like the righty bats here against Lamb. Really like Braun, really like Villar, like Luke Croy. Chris Carter, 3-7. I don't hate the price tag, but definitely a GPP play. But I really like Braun at 3-7. I think that's a really nice price for him.
If I was a betting man, I'd be hammering this over. Give me that
Oof.
over all day.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. I think
All
it'll come.
my I'd put 100% of my bankroll. No, I'm just kidding. Um I really like these Brewers, the 3 through 5 there. Obviously they're a little pricey, but not gonna kill you. Braun for 37 is a really nice deal, and I like Carter in tournaments, so I think that's a nice tournament stack there, for the Brewers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at Lamb, 370 WOBA allowed to righties this year, 1.74 home runs per nine. Great ballpark to hit in. So for me, grabbing some righties here, and I'll feel pretty comfortable with using the Brewers tonight.
Definitely.
As far as the Reds go, I mean, Jimmy Nelson, I think you can kind of look at from the left side of things. I like Hamilton, Votto, Bruce. I still don't hate the Duvall price tag at 3-1. Nelson's a guy who's relatively struggled with lefties. He's been better this year, but still not great, especially with a 40% hard ball rate to lefties this year. So for me, I'm firing away with those 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters. I like the Reds offense yet again.
Yeah, definitely agree there. I think this is a game you want to sort of set up shop with in terms of cash and tournaments for hitting. Votto at 35, I think that's a great option, and probably I'd say that's definitely the move over Carter in terms of cash games. So I think you wanna do a Votto Braun sort of like mini game stack there. I really like those two.
I mean, I think he relatively could go here. I mean, and do a full game stack is go
Yeah.
Villar. You get a couple of outfielders. I mean, really, Braun's the only outfielder. You can pair him with a Bruce or Hamilton and grab Votto. So you could do a number of things with this game and get some exposure to both sides.
Right, definitely like that.
So, Rockies and Braves next one here, and Chad Bettis versus Mike Foltynewicz. And the Rockies bats are a little bit more expensive. Cargo at 3.5 is at a price tag I'm intrigued just because I don't mind lefties against Foltynewicz. I know he's coming off a great start and everything, but still not a guy who's been strong against lefties in his sample size. So I don't mind the Rockies here. I think they're a little bit more GPP territory just because of the price tags. But I do like Cargo at 3.5, and I do like Story at 2.9.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Those two sort of at the back end of that front of the lineup. You definitely like those two, and they're relatively cheap. So, and then you kind of look at the Braves. I think you can get a little frisky here with one or two guys in the lineup. Maybe a Jeff Francoeur or something like that. Maybe a Freddie Freeman at 28. But other than that, I mean, obviously you're not going hard at the Braves.
No, and I think, I mean, they're all under 3K against Chad Bettis, who,
Yeah.
he's still average against lefties, even though he is hit harder by righties. So Francoeur is definitely intriguing at 2.7. I think he's a nice value piece. And I'm with you. I mean, Freeman's going to take advantage of any right-hander that's subpar. So I kind of like Freeman at 2.8. I think he's an intriguing option tonight.
Yep.
Indians and Twins here, and looking at the Indian side first, I like the Kipnis price tag. I like the Lindor price tag. 3.4, 3.6 for both of them. Napoli a little more expensive than I like here, and I think it's kind of the usual value calls with Ramirez and Chisenhall.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And again, FanDuel's been much more generous with their Indians pricing this year, so I think we definitely like that. Kipnis Lindor, borderline cash for me. I think you're firing away with Indians once again tonight.
Yeah, projected for nearly 5 runs. I mean, they've been relatively consistent offense. Target field during the summertime is pretty favorable for hitters. It's not quite the pitcher's park. As far as the Twin side things go, I was talked about this on DK because of their price tags. I still think they're a viable GPP option with guys like Sano, Dozier, and Vargas. I I kind of like them as a trio for going against the grain because I do think people have some Bauer shares quite a bit. So much like using the Padres, I kind of feel like, there's four obvious options, and I think the contrarian move would be maybe get some pieces against them.
Yeah, definitely agree there. I think we're definitely looking at some contrarian moves there because Bauer is going to be relatively not chalky, but he is going to have some ownership tonight just based on the slate. So while I do like him, I think there are some options in that Twins lineup.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you're going that route, build multiple lineups, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Royals and Tigers, next one here, Danny Duffy versus Mike Pelfrey. And Royals are appropriately priced here, but still nothing that'll kill you.
Yeah.
And once again, I still like 1 through 5. You look at Pelfrey, hit hard from both sides of the plate. 384 Woba to lefties. We're looking at righties, 365 Woba. So for me, 1 through 5 certainly playable. I like really all those bats, and I like. It's always hard for me to pair Hosmer or Morales or kind of pick one, but I think I'm leaning towards Hosmer a little bit here.
Yeah, again, you gotta love that price of Freddie Freeman for 1,000 less. But at the same time, you can't really totally knock Hosmer out of play. I think he's just in a really good matchup tonight, and I think you fire away with him with price pretty much not considered. I mean, unless he was over 4,300 or something, I think you're just firing away with him either way. So I really like that matchup for him.
Yeah, I do too. And on the Tigers side of things, I mean, they're a GPP team for me. Um, you look at Danny Duffy. I mean, been okay against righties this year. The strikeout rate's been higher. It's been bailing them out quite a bit. Still 1.52 home runs per 9 to right-handers. So obviously, I still think they're in play. You got like Victor Martinez at 3.2. I mean, behind the dish, it's always a nice move here on FanDuel.
For sure.
So I do think Kinsler's in play at 3.5. He's kind of my secondary piece, and then you kind of can get down to Castellanos and Cabrera.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think Cabrera's in play in both formats. And as you mentioned, Martinez and Castellanos, both solid options as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning more towards GPPs with Cabrera, but I mean, I can't knock anyone who goes with them.
Yes.
Marlins and Cardinals, and looking more so at the Cardinals offense here. I really like these price tags against Kohler. I mean, it's really hard not to like a Holiday, Piscotty, Adams for all under 3.5, and going up against Kohler, who's kind of your average right-hander.
Yeah, and sort of Diaz isn't necessarily in play on DK just because Seager's less expensive, but this 500 difference actually puts him in play for me.
Yeah.
I do like Seager more, but at the same time, it's like, okay, he's in play. If you need 500 extra, I'm totally fine with dropping down to Diaz.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. And I think looking here, I'm not as fan as the secondary piece I talked about. Wong, he's not quite cheap enough. I'm still not a fan of Grichuk at 2.5. I know he's come off a solid night. As far as the Marlins go, those prices, I mean, we talked about Stanton, Ozuna just because they were really super underpriced as far as being contrarian options, but I'm not really looking to attack Wayne right here. I think you're going to see a pretty strong start out of him, and it's obviously a decent bullpen too.
For sure.
So definitely kind of staying away from the Marlins tonight. Dodgers Diamondbacks next one here. Brandon McCarthy versus Archie Bradley. And I like this Dodgers offense quite a bit. I like the Adrian Gonzalez price tag much more here. I don't mind Utley. As you mentioned, Seager is more expensive. But once again, for me, I do think 1 through 5 is play. Howie Kendrick at 3.6, a little pricey for me.
Yeah, a little pricey and much different than the DK pricing. So not really the value play you want. But Seager, Turner, Gonzalez, Utley, that 1 through 4 is really solid, and I think they're actually that stack is totally viable.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of my favorite on the night. You look at Chase Field; it's been great for power. It's been great for runs, and you just look, attacking Bradley here. I think you feel pretty comfortable doing it, especially with what he's allowed to lefties in his career.
Definitely.
So, as far as the Diamondbacks go, I'm not necessarily on them at their prices. Once again, we're dealing with a little bit of a price difference. Jake Lamb just 3,400. He's a guy who I like quite a bit. The Goldschmidt price tag isn't quite cheap enough for me, but I don't mind Lamb once again. I don't mind Castillo. I still think that's a cheap catching option. So, I don't hate 4 and 5 there in the order. I think they're playable.
I like Lamb, yeah, for sure. 34, not a bad price for him against a righty, even though McCarthy's not a pushover. So you do like that. I think you can fire away with that and feel pretty confident.
Yeah, definitely. Giants and Padres here, and we'll talk about the Padres real quick. Talking about them was one to be the contrarian options going up against Samardzija, who's been really struggling. You look, Yang versus Solarte 2.6, Kemp 2.8. Obviously Myers is deservingly expensive at 3.9. I don't mind that front four. I think it could do something against Samardzija. So,
and it's super cheap. It's super cheap. So I think you can definitely fire away with that and feel pretty good. It's a tournament move, but at the same time, that's a way to differentiate yourself. I think people are going to be on Samardzija. That's going to be the chalk with a lot of sort of a lot of cheat sheets and what people are going to be on. So I think you can fire away with that, and in a contrarian type of way. Nice tournament stack there.
Yeah, definitely agree. And on the Giants side, obviously Perdomo struggles from both sides of the plates. Once again, 1 through 5 certainly in play for me. I like a Crawford at 3.3. I don't mind a Posey at 3.5. I kind of like Bell tonight. I think 4.4 is a price tag that should keep the ownership relatively down, but I think there's some strong upside there.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So, last game of night here at the White Sox and Angels, Matt Schumacher versus James Shields. Cole Calhoun at 3K, really nice price tag. Obviously, Daniel Nava's been kind of a punt play we've been talking about here, hitting fifth in that lineup. Like the lefties against Shields. Shields really hasn't been that great. 358 WOBA to lefties, 1.42 home runs per 9. And obviously, Mike Trout's always in play at 4.4. And I think Trout's a guy, maybe you do roll out a Padre stack and with a bow or something, Trout just slides right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're looking at Calhoun here and Trout, like you mentioned. And some of these guys at the end of the Angels lineup kind of gives you a different perspective. Obviously, I do think Shields is sort of a GPP play on DK, but it's a much different scenario here. I think you're firing away with some of these end of the lineup guys even. So Calhoun, love that price, and love the super cheap end of the lineup guys here too.
Yeah, 5 through 9 are all under 2,500.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird to see, but this Angels offense obviously hasn't been strong. That is kind of a general idea of where they've been for most of this year. So as far as the White Sox go, once again, they're cheap. And you look at Schumacher, we're talking about him as being a reasonable option. Obviously, there is some home run upside that he's allowed in the past. So for me, I think Frazier and Abreu could be, and Tim Anderson could be GPP plays at most.
Yeah. GPP plays. Adam Eaton too, but I don't know. It's kind of tough to go against Schumacher. I kind of like him tonight, so probably be firing away more with him than any White Sox.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I think Schumacher's in that top 4 for pitching tonight.
Right.
So that's going to wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.